coming in from Facebook, hey now. If you're listening in from Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, Sharvette.com, my mobile app, iTunes, Alexa device, broadcast stations, we are glad to have you because you know the goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we're going to do just that today. My guest is hanging out with me in the virtual studio. I am so excited to have Joan T. Randall joining us. She is the president of Joan T. Randall Enterprise. She's the founder of the Victorious You Foundation. Listen, you might be in her Facebook group, Victorious You Movement. She's an international speaker, coach, consultant, and award-winning 4-time best-selling author. You might have even seen her on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and now the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. And so we're so excited to feature Joan. So what I want you to do, let people know what you're listening to. Say, listen, you need to come on over and you need to check out the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show right now. That's what we need you to do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right on in. Shout out to those that are listening in on the phone lines. We see you. Thank you so much for being here as well. Coming up to the mic right now, I love that she says on her website, it's time to have a triumphant transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Joan T. Randall to the show. Hello, Joan.
Hey, girl, hey. How are you?
Hey,
I'm
girl,
excited to be here with you.
It is an honor. It is an honor to just share you with all of our listeners. And so let's kind of start from the beginning. How did you even get into this space around victorious and being victorious?
That is a great question, Sharvette, and I'm so excited to be here. Welcome, everybody, to the Hey Girl, Hey Sharvette Mitchell Show, and I'm just super excited to be here. I got into the space because of the crushing, and that is the God's honest truth. I experienced a life of domestic abuse for 7.5 years, and I ran away from domestic violence, but it never left my mind. So for years, although I was a woman that was, experienced abuse and had gone past abuse, it still lingered within my mindset. So I was no longer in the abuse situation, but I was still a victim due to what was in my mind, the whys. Why did he treat me this way? Why did I have to experience this? Why? And it allowed me to be afraid and ashamed of my past. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to share about it. I didn't want anyone to know that I was an abused woman. And so I victimized myself after being a victim. So I continued being a victim for years until one day I found myself at a crossroads, and at that crossroads I recognized that I needed to make a decision. I either stay in the position that I was or keep blaming my ex or move forward and turn my life around. And there's something to be said about when you hit rock bottom, there is no other place to go but call on God. And that's what I did. And so my faith allowed me to start to take a deeper look within myself and identify the things that were keeping me a victim, although I was no longer in that situation. And once I could identify it and I started loving myself and forgiving myself and understanding that I had nothing to do with it, then that's when I became a victor. And so the whole premise that I built my business on, Victorious You, is just saying you don't have to let anything that crushed you or, was an adversity define you. You can stand on that very same thing that crushed you and become victorious over it and use it to your advantage, because there's others that are out there that you can impact their lives based on your story. And so that's how the whole Victorious You movement came about.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you can really speak to really any woman or man that has any situation that they feel that they are currently a victim.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because not only can they be victorious, but we have dominion. God gave us dominion, and we can be limitless. And our crushing, and I'm taking this from T.D. Jakes' most latest book, our crushing puts us in position to get our promise. So the crushing is almost like grapes. You know, the grapes grow on the trees. You pick those grapes. They're beautiful. They taste good. But that's not the final process of the grapes. They have to go through that crushing because the promise of the grape is the wine. But you can't get to the wine unless you're crushed and stamped on, right? Because the wine is the promise. And so you've got to go through that process. So a lot of times, the things that we go through in life, it's a process to build us with perseverance and prepare us for the promise and the purpose.
My goodness. So listen, listeners, you can see right now why she's the founder of the Victorious You Foundation. And so I know that there are people that are listening and that will want to say, how can they be a part of your Facebook group? Can you give that information?
Absolutely. My Facebook group is the Victorious You Movement. It is a public group with some restrictions. I still have to approve whoever comes into the group, but I would love you all to go on to Facebook.com and just go to Victorious You Movement and join my group. Join my group. I have a Monday morning motivation every Monday morning, Facebook Live. And then every day we put out inspirational things and things that can get you from one place to the other. So it's a group that's just filled with amazing men and women of God. It's faith-based and, just plan to be inspired because that's my goal.
All right. And listen, you don't look like what you've been through. And I know people say that and that, sometimes is a cliche, but I definitely salute you and applaud you for not staying in a place of shame or, I'm going to come out and come over this, but I'm not going to tell anybody, but that you don't look like what you've been through and you're able to reach back and say, no, I can help you. And so getting into the speaking, so it's one thing to go through your own situation. When did you decide, okay, I've got to actually get out here and speak about this?
Okay, that's a great question. So, Sharvette, this whole thing, it's just been, when I look back at what I've gone through, it's only God that can take me there because when I left my domestic violence situation, my daughters were 11 and 4. And I ran away. And when I ran away, I went to my sister in Florida. And while I was there, some things happened to my daughter that shouldn't have happened to my daughters with family members. So that was very devastating for me. I left that situation. It's like jumping out of the frying pan and jumping into the fire. So I left that situation and tried to get on my own, but I was unable. I was working a job, part-time job at $7.50 an hour. And so I ended up homeless on the streets with my 2 daughters. And that was the most devastating blow that any woman, any mother, any parent can ever go through, having nowhere to live and not know where your next meal is coming from, especially when you make $7.50 an hour. So I tried to pick up other jobs, try to work, 2 more jobs, but nothing would meet the standard of paying for rent. But I had 2 little girls who were my angels, and I called them my head and my heart because my oldest one was very smart. We would have $20 for dinner, and she would be able to plan what we're going to eat all week on $20. And then my youngest one just had so much love in her heart, and she had this thing and said, Mom, if I hug you, you'll get strength. And so I had these 2 little angels by my side, and I'm working. But when I went to work, I became a different person. I took on a different persona because I didn't want anybody to know my plight. And so I gave my all to work, and I started getting promoted, and that promotion led us to get off the streets. And my life just started climbing the corporate ladder. So this job that I had for $7.50 an hour as a part-time associate, I ended up staying at that company for 25 years, Sharvette. But not only that, I climbed the corporate ladder and became a vice president with that company. one of the only Black female vice president in that company. And I stayed there for 25 years. I started at $7.50 or $7.25 an hour. And when I left, I was like, the high six figures because of just perseverance and the grace of God and pushing. And every time I fell down, I got back up. But I hid my past from all those corporate big dogs. I hid my past. I was ashamed to talk about the abuse. I was ashamed to talk about the homelessness. But one day I saw something. As a company, I got an opportunity to donate $40,000 to any charity I wanted to donate it to. And I donated to the shelter, the women's abuse shelter. And when I donated the check to this lady, she asked me why. And I told her I was a victim of domestic violence. And she asked me if I could come to their event that they were having at the end of the year and speak about it. And I was hesitant, but that was the point in my life when God said, you have to share your story. Nobody is going to believe that you were homeless, that you were beaten, that you were kicked down, that you went through all you went through, and you're a vice president in this company. Nobody's going to believe that story. And so I wanted people to understand that those things doesn't define you. And so that was the first time I spoke to an audience of about 500 people. And I told my story in the third person. I told them about this young girl that came from Jamaica with a husband and who was beaten, abused, thrown out, homeless, and who climbed the corporate ladder in a company where it was not the norm for her to get where she was. And this person donated $40,000 to you all, and that person is me. And there was not a dry eye in that room. And when I got off stage, I got business cards, I got telephone messages. People wanted me to speak all over. And then I recognized that, my God, my pain is my purpose. My story is my message. This can change some lives. And that was when I decided that I was going to give up my 25-year career because I'd gotten to the place where I could retire. And then I was going to go in to do this because I know God had put me on this earth not to work at that place for the rest of my life, but to get me the knowledge that I needed for what I was going to do when I got ready to walk in my purpose. And so that job gave me the skill sets and the tools that I needed so that when I started to walk in my purpose, I was equipped with what I needed. And that's how this whole thing started.
Listen, listeners, I know y'all got to feel like you are listening to one of Oprah Winfrey's Sunday Soul Sessions, because this right here is real life, Joan. This is, you know what? And I've got to congratulate you again because you said yes, because there are other people in your situation and God impressed upon them to move and they didn't and they haven't. But you some kind of way have the wherewithal to say, I've got to go in this direction and I've got to share. And so now coaching and consulting, and you're speaking, you're working one-on-one. If someone wants to connect with you and wants to work one-on-one with you, how can they do that?
So they can go to my website, Joan T. Randall, and they can go to Work with Joan and click on the link. It's a simple form that you fill out, and that gets right into my calendar, and then I'll be able to connect with you and talk with you. Or I'm so open, I want to help people. You know, I impact lives to change outcomes. That's the bottom line of what I do, impact lives to change outcomes. Because your outcome is not determined by what you went through. Your outcome is determined by the life and the goal you set for yourself. You can always write a different ending. You never have to be defined by what you think your ending is going to be. You own the way you end your story. You own the way you show up in your life. So that's what I do. And you can just connect with me through Messenger or connect with me on Facebook. I'll send you the link for you to fill out the form to work with me, and we'll get started from there.
Fabulous. And then you also, you have an amazing conference that's coming up. So let's talk about that.
Yes. So I'm excited. This is my second year of the conference. Last year was my inaugural. I loved it. The theme last year was Elevate, how to explore and elevate. And this year it is Limitless. And I chose the word limitless because we wear layers all the time. We are one way in front of people, but we're another way when we are alone. And so often we lie to ourselves through our mental prison. And our mental prison is telling ourselves that we are not good enough, doubting ourselves, being afraid to jump, being afraid to take that leap, allowing procrastination to stop us from moving out of the comfort zone. But when we're outside and someone say, how are you doing? You say, I'm fabulous. I am blessed and highly favored. So we lie to ourselves in our mental prison. So limitless just means take off your mask. Take off the layers. Take off the layers of shame and unforgiveness and abuse and betrayal. Take it all off. Be open. Be naked. Be vulnerable with yourself. Identify what holds you stuck. Increase your self-awareness. Increase the self-love. Ignite the passion that burns inside of you. Inspire yourself and then implement the things that God gave you, the gifts and the talents that He put inside of you to give to the world. So that is what Limitless is. And so this year, the conference is Limitless, taking off the mask. And I have some incredible speakers this year. And my keynote speaker is a celebrity. And the only way I got her is through God. It had to be.
Wow.
Because I'm thinking, which celebrity is going to say yes to little old Joan? I picked up the phone and I called her. And I didn't hear from her for a month. Then she called me back and said, I'm not even going to let my assistant call you. I wanted to call you. For you to leave me that message, I needed to speak to the person who did. And so I booked her.
Wow.
And I am super excited. I'm so happy. And that's why I know what I'm doing is God-centered. It's God-led. It's God-driven because my goal is to change lives. And I want to impact the lives of 100 women at this conference this year. So,
oh my goodness! So you got to tell us who the special guest is.
So I don't know, Sharvette. I know you're much younger than me, so you may not know her, but I have Stacey Lattisaw as my keynote speaker.
I know exactly who that is, and I'm older than you think I am.
Yeah, so she was
I'm
R&B
older,
singer.
I know exactly who that is.
Yeah. Yeah, let me be your angel, Stacey Lattisaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's the other one I used to sing? Not and my sister is listening. Kim, text me, Kim, and tell me that song by Stacey Lattisaw when we were growing up. I want to say it's like something about a road. It's something about a road. Oh,
yeah,
God.
And,
it's going to come to me. It's going to come to me.
Gill, and her and Johnny Gill, they sang a lot together, too. So I'm so excited.
Yes.
She's my keynote speaker for the conference. I could not believe this lady said yes. So,
my
excited.
goodness. And so the date and the location for the conference.
So my date is October 12th and 13th. It's a 2-day conference, and it will be held at the Embassy Suites on Carlisle in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, right. And you have a couple different registration options for them, right?
I do. This year, for the first time, I am doing payment plans because I wanted to be open to people that might not be able to afford $299 for the all-access pass. So there's a 3-payment option where they can pay, I think it's $99 each month in order to, to have the $299. So the 2-day all-access pass is $299. Or you can do it one time or a 3-pay option. There you can purchase the 1-day ticket, which is a Saturday ticket for $199 or 2-pay option. And then there's a Sunday ticket for, I think it's $240 or a 2-pay option. And then there is a couples option where instead of, husband and wife paying the $299 each, there is a discount for them coming together as a couple for $499. So it's like almost $200 off.
All right, so a lot of options for you. October 12th through the 13th in Charlotte, North Carolina, just visit JoanTRandall.com, and you can click on the events page. Limitless conference. Get ready to shift, let go of limiting beliefs. And I know we're going to hear Stacy. And listen, my sister is clutch. Thanks, Kim. A love on a two-way street.
Love on a two-way
street. Yes. And lost it on a lonely highway. Yes. Thank you, Kim. I know she remembers everything. I found love on a two-way street and lost it on a lonely highway. All right. Yes. I love it. And so I don't want to leave out, and they'll get to hear. So we shout out Stacy, but they're going to get to hear you too, right? Like they're coming to hear you too, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Last year I had 8 speakers. This year I only have 3 speakers and myself. So it's a totally different shift from the conference last year. Sometimes, your first conference, you're trying to see, all right, what's going to work, what's not work. So the goal is to just start. The goal is to just do it, right? So I've learned a lot from last year, and so we're shifting the way we're doing it this year, and I'm super excited about what we're doing day 1 and what we're doing on day 2. So all of that will be on the website, the location of the hotel, all of that. The payment plans are already there. You can go on, buy your tickets. You can start paying for it, but all of the details will be completely on the website by next week.
All right, October 12th and 13th. Okay, and so I don't want to leave out your books and that you are a best-selling author. And so let's chat a little bit about, what kind of, because we have a lot of listeners that like to read as well.
Yeah, so my first book is 90 Days to a Victorious You. When I retired at the end of 2015, January of 2016, I wrote it, published it. A publisher, hybrid publisher helped me publish that book. In 4 hours, it became a bestseller. And the book is called 90 Days to a Victorious You. It's 90 scriptures in the Bible that deals with victory and hope and peace and forgiveness and love and joy. And the reason why I called it 90 days is because 90 days is a probationary period. 90 days is a quarter. A lot of people look at their businesses quarterly. And a lot of people, if you're going into a position or into a new job, 90 days is the amount of time it's going to take you to get acclimated to that job or experience. So I thought that 90 days would be a great way to put in a book where you can say your prayer and you can have devotion, and then you can write your thoughts and reflections. And that book did so well and blew my expectation, and that's why everything is built on this whole Victorious You platform, because the 90 Days to a Victorious You, that book allowed me to go to different states within the United States and held workshops. And from the workshops, the speaking came. And from the speaking, the coaching business was built. And so one book built everything, the thoughts, the idea, the whole victory thing, and then writing that book, and then speaking, and then workshops, and then doing the coaching services. It's all from one book. So I just want listeners to know that one book can change your life. One book can make the difference in your visibility and your credibility. One book can start the foundation and the base for that which you can grow on. Yeah, and then I bring other books after that.
Tell us about the others.
Yeah, so the second one that I wrote I was a co-author with April Franks, who was one of my business coaches, and that's called Driven Success, and it's just stories about people who transitioned from corporate and into the business life. And then the third book I wrote was a book called Loving Me from A to Z. It's a book of affirmation. It's every letter of the alphabet with an affirmative word that you can speak in your life, backed up with scriptures and questions that you can answer, and then a coloring portion in the back of the book. And then the fourth book that I wrote was my own collaboration with 8 other authors called Finding a Path to Victory. And those stories are, people who have undergone some difficult things, who would have taken their lives, but because of faith, they were able to survive. And it's an amazing book. And the one that I'm writing now is my story called Bags in the Attic, and that will come out for the conference in October.
Wow. Listen, you are a beast.
Yes.
And I mean that in all the good ways that we say that. How can listeners get a hold of any of your books?
Any of my books, they're all on Amazon. You could just type in Joan T. Randall on Amazon. All the books will pop up. Or you can always go to joantrandall.com, and if you go to the store, the books are listed there as well. You can purchase them there. And to get a hold of me, period, it's Joan T. Randall anywhere, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It's Joan T. Randall everywhere.
Wonderful. And I have tagged Joan on Twitter, and I've tagged her Facebook and LinkedIn and other locations, so that's a great connection point if you're following me on these social media platforms. And so, goodness, our time is winding up. My last question for you, the goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we want to know what continues to motivate you.
What continued to motivate me is the fact that I know that we serve a limitless God and that we have dominion, and there's a lot of people out there that don't own their power because sometimes our adversities and the things that we have gone through take our powers away. But the only way we can be the best of who God created us to be is to take our power back from those things that held us hostage, or from those things that happened to us in life where we felt as if, we weren't at our best. Own your power and be the woman or man that God has created you to be. And so I am here on earth to just continue to encourage and inspire women to take the power that God gave them, the dominion that he built you with, and use it to your advantage, because you were created to be incredible. You were created to dominate. And it's time you just take your power and start dominating in your own space, in your own lane, and wherever you are that makes you feel happy.
Because you were created for this. I love it. I love it. Joan T. Randall, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was fun. Even with the cutoff, even with the enemy, even when the enemy tried to stop us, he just got mad, but we were too bad for him to stop us. That's that. He already a liar, because we're gonna take care of all of that, and it's all is well. And the replay, shout out to the replay viewers, because y'all don't even know what we're talking about. But yes, thank you so much, Joan. All right, listeners, that is going to be a wrap for today's show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Check back with us next week. We have a whole bunch of amazing shows lined up for you guys, and so we're really excited about it. We'll see you guys next week.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.